I want to talk about doom scrolling. And what is doom scrolling? Have you ever had your phone and you just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and looking at all this horrible news and upsetting things? But I don't want to just talk about that. I also want to expand this to any kind of endless scrolling. Maybe you continue to look at TikTok after TikTok. Maybe you look at Reels on Instagram. Maybe you even watch YouTube videos. I don't know what it is, but there probably is something that you find you just end up spending too much time on, and that takes away from language learning. So why is doom scrolling bad? You can probably figure this out, but usually it increases your anxiety and stress by ingesting all of this bad news. And it's also a loss of time because it's eating up your time that you could be spending on language learning. I think the reason why people doom scroll is because it feels like you're learning about a subject or something that's upsetting. And because you feel like you're learning about it, it feels like you're gaining something. But in reality, you just keep ingesting this anxiety producing information, and it doesn't help you. Likewise, I think if you are going through entertainments or videos or TikToks, I think there's probably somewhere in your life where you feel stressed, but you might not even be aware that this stress is in your life. You might just find yourself going through TikTok after TikTok without even realizing that you're doing it because you're trying to numb yourself to a situation in your life that is causing you stress and anxiety that you haven't figured out a way out of. So the first thing to do in this situation is to recognize your triggers. And that means, what are you doing or what is happening right before you get into this loop of just going through TikTok after TikTok or scrolling endlessly? Some common factors might be that you're tired. You might not have gotten enough sleep and now it's late at night and you have some work that you have to do or homework that you have to do, and it's stressful. You really don't want to do it. So you end up in this loop of just looking at information. It might also be the time of day. Perhaps there are certain times of your day or your schedule where it's just natural that you don't have something to do, and so you just find yourself in the loop again. There may even be certain types of topics that catch your interest or make you feel a certain way, and so you investigate them. Also, the platform itself. For example, the app TikTok, that alone, seeing that, might be enough to put you into a loop. So what you need to do is you need to recognize the trigger, and you need to be mindful of that moment right before it happens. So something you can do is, once you've figured out what the trigger is if you have no control whatsoever, you can put a restriction on the app. I know there are certain apps out there which can do this. I haven't used them myself because I haven't needed to, but if you know of some, please put them in the comments so others can share and be able to benefit from that. But basically what the app will do is it will make it so that you can't actually access whatever app you have a problem with. So let's say it's YouTube or TikTok. For those apps, it won't let you open them, or it might be on your web browser. It won't let you go to those websites to check them out. You can also set specific times either for you to check the news or to check TikTok or to check YouTube, or specific times that you're not allowed to check TikTok or YouTube or the news. Either way, this is a way of restricting and making sure that you don't fall into the loop and keep going through that. So in my personal opinion, one of the best things that you can replace doom scrolling with is language learning, because language learning is not only a productive endeavor for your mental state, but it's good for your mental health as well. I mean, I suppose you could be doom scrolling in a foreign language And that might not be so good for your mental health, but it would be good for your language learning. However, I do recommend that you don't doom scroll in a foreign language. You should just learn the foreign language and hopefully consume more wholesome content. So what you want to do is you want to replace the habit of doom scrolling with the habit of language learning. Once you become aware of that moment that you slip into the doom scrolling, you want to change that moment into slipping into a different activity. So for example, you want to replace doom scrolling with something else that's related to language learning. And that could be a number of things. It could be a popular language learning app. It could be Anki to do flashcards. It could be going to your favorite news site in the foreign language. It could be anything that deals with the foreign language that helps you learn. And I think it's very important to have the right attitude when you correct yourself. And this involves mindfulness. Basically, when you find yourself doom scrolling, you're going to come to, which means you might spend some 5 or 10 minutes doom scrolling or in this loop until you wake up and you think to yourself, wait, I just spent the last 5 to 10 minutes doom scrolling. Why did I do that? Now here, the right attitude to have is not to beat yourself up and be like, oh, I just wasted 5 to 10 minutes or I wasted an hour doom scrolling. Instead, when you catch yourself, you should be positive about it. You should give yourself a pat on the back and say, wow, I caught myself in the doom scrolling, and now I'm going to switch to the positive, productive activity of language learning. So you catch yourself, you reinforce the positivity of catching yourself, and then you immediately move to the correct activity. That's the right way of correcting yourself. You don't want to beat yourself up about it because this introduces a negative emotion. And if you attach a negative emotion to it, you're going to find that your subconscious figures out a way to not give you language learning because you've associated negativity with it. Something else that really helps is having a supportive environment. For example, the Language Academy with Professor Arguez, which I attend, is a great place because there are plenty of other students who are also focused on learning languages and who are trying to get language learning as an integral part of their day. So they're the type of people who are trying to prevent doom scrolling, and it would serve you well to be with these kinds of people who might give you tips or techniques to be able to help you out in your own studies. But it doesn't have to be the Language Academy. You could find a community online. I think the Refold Discord community is really great, but there are plenty of language learning communities out there. Also, you want to set realistic goals and expectations for language learning. Remember that language learning, in my personal opinion, is a lifelong process. If you learn the language, you're going to be learning it for the rest of your life. So don't expect to become fluent overnight. The best you should hope for is just to study a little bit each day and do that for years, for a very, very long time. If you can do that, you might not even see the progress from day to day, but one day you will wake up years from now and you'll think to yourself, you'll realize, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this language. So I want to give you a success story from my own personal life. I used to ride the exercise bicycle in my house for 20 minutes after I woke up every day. And what I used to do originally was, when I rode the exercise bicycle, I would just read Reddit. I would just browse Reddit, and I would do that for the entire 20 minutes. And that was fine because, Reddit took my mind off of the exercise of the exercise bicycle. It kind of engaged my mind while I was engaging my body. But the thing is, the stuff I was reading on Reddit, sometimes it would be helpful or wholesome or add to my life, but most of the time it was just dribble. It was stuff that I couldn't really care less about. So what I did was I replaced using Reddit with flashcards in German. And I found a pre-made deck of German that just had a bunch of sentences, and I went through and I just started going through all the flashcards in this German flashcard deck on Anki. And what that did was it allowed me to exercise my body, but at the same time engage my mind, but this time in a productive way and not through just Reddit and whatever's on there. So that is a success story of changing from something that maybe isn't adding to your life, like randomly reading Reddit, to something that is productive, like learning a language like German. So what I want to ask you now is, do you have any story like this, or do you have an issue in your life with doom scrolling or getting stuck in these loops or cycles of just going through entertainment like TikToks or even YouTube videos? Let me know what your own personal story is, because if you haven't noticed, I do read every comment on my videos and I also respond to every comment. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope this video helped you. Thank you so much.